Okay, we're back. The scheduling team has reviewed our event and approved it, so we're ready to go ahead and actually schedule rides based off of the event we created in the last video. In the past, I've primarily been driving, moving around in ride stats based off of the left-hand menu. But I also want to draw attention to the shortcut buttons that we have across the bottom of Ride Stats' homepage as well after you log in, and particularly the My Club Events button. When we click this button, it's going to quickly bring you to a page that lists all of the events that you've either created or are listed as a ride leader on. So in this case, we can see that the Lake Jane ride that we created in the last video is listed at the top of our page, and we're going to go ahead and schedule that ride. You can also see that there's an opportunity to edit the event here, but remember, if you edit the event and then save it, it is going to go back to the ride scheduling team for approval. So in this case, we want to just go ahead and schedule a ride based off of this event. So scheduling a ride is similar in that it's a wizard type of format to go through and have the basic details of the ride leaders, the default location, and then the description. One of the things I recommend when we're scheduling a ride is to click on the expand all tabs button so that we can see all the information. Now, I'm creating or scheduling this ride on a Sunday night, and you can see that the first potential date that the ride could be scheduled is Tuesday. But TCBC has a 48-hour rule in which you need to schedule your rides 48 hours before the ride actually starts. This is done for a couple of reasons. The first of which is to give members and potential guests an opportunity to see the ride on the calendar and be able to schedule their time accordingly to come attend your ride. And the second of which is it does give the ride leaders the ability to, at 48 hours, you have a pretty good idea if your weather is going to hold for the ride. Although this is Minnesota and things can quickly change, 48 hours is a good compromise point of having the ride on the schedule long enough in advance for people to be able to see it and attend it while still giving you the flexibility of not scheduling a ride too far in advance where we have no idea what's going to happen with the weather. So in this case, since I can't use the 10th, I'm actually going to push it out to the following Saturday, the 14th. We're going to go ahead and schedule it at 1 p.m. Remember, this is military time, so we can go between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. And our ride's going to be 30 miles in this case, and the ride type will still be brisk. As we go down, I am going to uncheck the other two leaders from the ride, and the reason being is that I'm going to be the only leader of the ride, and there's no reason to have them listed on the ride as ride leaders as well, since there's no guarantee that they'll even be there. I'm going to update the start location to Health East Maplewood, which was one of the two that I had entered. And then my ride with GPS URL carried over from when we entered the event. And I have a description in here now. So you can see that really we've moved through scheduling the ride very quickly. And this goes to show that if we spend the time to put the information that we need in the event when we're creating it, going through and scheduling the ride can be a very quick process in going and getting our ride onto the calendar. So at this point, everything looks great. I'm going to submit it to the calendar. And there's a couple of different options here that we'll just go through very briefly. The top one is schedule another ride on this date with a different ride type. What this option is used for is we have a lot of rides in TCBC in which there are multiple ride categories for a particular ride. For instance, we may have a ride that has an A group, an AB group, and a B group, all with separate ride leaders, probably doing different distances based off of the level of the riders in each of those categories. So in this case, this allows you to quickly schedule another ride with a different ride type on the same date with the rest of the same information. The second one is schedule another ride on the next available day. So in this case, we're doing the Saturday, and when we created the event, we said it could be scheduled on Saturday, Sundays, or Tuesdays. Since this is Saturday, I believe, the 14th, the next available date to schedule this ride would be the 15th on that Sunday. So in this case, if I selected this and then selected save, it would allow me to schedule a ride on the 15th immediately. So this is where creating an event maybe once a week on a Friday, for instance, and then when I'm using this second option, every Friday I could just go through and quickly schedule the ride based off of this event. But in this case, this is going to be a one-off, so I'm going to leave the default. I'm done, back to my schedule, and click on Save. And at this point, my ride is now on the schedule. So if I click on this bottom icon here to go to the club calendar, you can now see that on the 14th, my ride is published to the calendar at 1 p.m. So that is it for this video. We're going to take a break, but on the next video, we're going to talk about how to enter the ride stats, the ride mileage, after your ride has been completed, as well as what to do if you need to cancel an event. So we'll see you there.